Okay, all right. And the pair, I mean, you've been in recruitment for a long time, the pair of you. Not, I'm not saying you're old.
Well, surprisingly, I'm not quite 40 yet, Bill.
No,
not quite 40.
But you've both
bit like the Benjamin Button of recruitment, but I'm not quite 40.
And I'm not quite 50 yet either.
Not quite 50.
As Michael keeps reminding me that 50's
but
round the corner.
We've both been in the game for about the same amount of time, haven't we?
20 years.
It's about 20 years. I mean, ironically, we didn't know each other at this time. But I started, one of the first places I worked at was in Loughborough. And one of the first towns that John worked at was in Loughborough. So once upon a time,
we competed
as the Young Bucks.
Wow.
against each other. Obviously, Michael always wanted to work where I was, of
That's
course.
right.
So who, can I say, like, who got the upper hand, or shouldn't I ask that?
I don't think it's
we
about...
were even. I think we
Yeah,
were
I think we're pretty even. To be honest with you, Michael he approached me, hence ended up working for him at Regional Recruitment Services.
Yeah.
So we've known each other for, probably 20 years, but worked very closely together for about 10.
I think it's amazing how you two get on. You know what I mean? It's sort of, you've got this buzz between the pair of you. You've got this sort of, what's the word? It's like a bond. It's lovely. You can feel the vibe between the two of you.
I think that comes from us being completely accepting of what the other person's strengths are and weaknesses. So, John is an absolutely phenomenal recruiter. Absolutely phenomenal in terms of
That's true.
In terms of managing a vacancy, being real with a candidate, and being able to deal with potential conflict, and doing that with an air of true professionalism. He's absolutely outstanding at it. So
Brilliant.
if John's got vacancies, and he's got relationships with clients, then he's going to fill those jobs. So then the spin side of that is where we accept each other is that fundamentally I'm a salesperson, and I started in advertising and then went into recruitment. And you know what? That gets such a lot of stick, doesn't it? People say about, want to be a salesperson.
When you said about getting a bit of stick, the recruitment industry gets a lot of stick.
Yeah.
And I've been on your website. Yeah. Which is a brilliant website. Lovely colours, by the way. I love that. Absolutely fantastic.
Definitely one for John to take the credit.
Yourcommercialrecruiter.co.uk. And you talk about the recruitment industry's perceived lack of integrity. And I was fascinated because there's not many people who actually even approach that subject, and it's true.
Well, perception's reality.
Yeah.
Yep. So perception is definitely the only reality that matters. It's certainly that what I've learned. So anybody that doesn't think those things about the recruitment industry, dead simple task: go onto Google and type recruiters are, and then see the options that come up. So when we talk about integrity, you know what? I actually think recruiters get a bad rap for it, right? Because a recruiter is a person, they're a human being, and they want to progress their career. And in today's day and age, right, where the options are available to these people at the fingertips, is that it's very, very difficult for those recruitment agencies or those internal recruitment departments or those big RPO companies to actually retain those people. So the integrity element to it is that recruiters lie, recruiters don't come back to people, loads of different reasons, but ultimately this constant churn of dealing with different recruiter after different recruiter.
Recruiters are out under pressure, aren't they? The amount of pressure some companies put on their staff to hit KPIs, you know what I mean? It's like, I've got to make 57 sales calls just for the hell of it tomorrow.
I get it. Hey, look, Bill, this probably isn't... This is definitely one for John because, to be honest, I've always been a bit of a maverick. And I have been when I ran companies before, so I've not necessarily been a person that has operated with really firm rules. But I do know a man that has. John, what do you think about the culture in terms of industry for KPIs and stuff?
I personally think it's not moved on that much in the world. It's not moved on in probably 20 years in terms of using these same KPIs to batter people with, as in you've got to do 50 calls a week, you've got to do 2 visits a week and stuff. And sometimes it feels like more of a tick box exercise. And I think we have to move on now because, I've never worked well don't get me wrong, in my very early career, when I was training, that was good for me. So there is a place for that. But I think it still needs to change now, because you can't do 50 calls a week now, because you can't get through to anybody. So unless you've got a mobile number, loads of these places, they don't have receptions anymore. People work from home.
KPIs are important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to muddy what I said there about the industry, because for me the KPIs are important, but it is, what are you measuring?
Yeah.
What are the important things that you're measuring, and what are you doing to improve the results on those measurements? That's the problem that I have. This whole attitude that we came from. I was a top performer as a salesperson when I was coming through in different industry sectors, and pretty much consistently from every boss I ever worked for, it would be, yeah, you did 200,000, but if you'd have made an extra 3 calls, you might have made 201,000. So get back on the phone, right? And that's the industry that we've come from.
Yeah, and put your target up.
Yeah, put your target up. Yeah. Put your
never
target
enough,
up.
is it?
Never enough. And you know what? It can't. It's not for us, and it's not our style. It's not the way that we're going to be growing our business. Because when we started, which I'm not the most spiritual person. However, when John and I started, there was an element of it being a bit of divine timing, because of our stories, because of how we work with it, circumstances. And you know what? Over the space of the last 6 months, we don't want to just be us two. We want to grow, and we want to grow because we want to be relevant, and we want to be able to fundamentally do the very thing that is the most challenging thing for any recruitment company at the moment, which is to grow, which is to influence, and it's to do it by retaining the people that we hire.